This review covers the classic 1959 Cadillac Eldorado Hardtop. It's a 125 scale kit from Revell, model kit number 4361. Now, it was a skill level 3 kit for the advanced builder and was last released in 2015. But this out of the production kit can still be found at online auction sites and local hobby shops. With the dawn of the jet age, styling cues in Detroit took to the skies for inspiration, and nowhere else was it personified more elegantly than Harley Earl's 1959 Cadillac Eldorado. Of the hardtop Eldorado versions, only about 975 were made, and they're very collectible these days. They had the biggest tail fins of any car before or since. Now, the kit's been out since the mid-90s, and Revell last released it in 2015, as I said. It's got 154 pieces, molded in white, chrome, clear red, soft black tires, and waterslide decals are included. The kit features a detailed 390 cubic inch V8 with 3 two-barrel carbs. It's got white wall tire inserts, a textured vinyl top, and cruise control and suspension airbags. The dimensions are about 8 and almost 9 inches when you're done, 3 and a quarter inches wide, and 2 and a quarter inches high. Here are the contents of the kit. As you can see, the molds were very clean and well kept up. There was very little parting line flash. It was minimal. In fact, there were actually no real defects in the kit. I didn't find any sinks. I didn't really find any ejector pin marks that were overtly done, and everything fit together well. The chrome was just about right. It's not too shiny to make it toy-like. The decals are in good register, and the tires are pretty nice for black walls, and you can add inserts to that for a custom 60s look. As is typical, construction starts with the motor. You can see the parts painted here. The block in the transmission are a blue color. The valve covers were a gold tint, as well as the carbs. I painted the exhausts, a kind of a what you would call a gunmetal, but they seem pretty dark here, so you may want to lighten them up with a little rust or light silver too. And the parts go together pretty well. The valley in the middle is painted steel color, so go ahead and assemble the block. So here you see that sub-assembly, and you'll also have to remember to scrape any paint off of areas where you want to glue them together so that the parts will stick together. And the same thing goes with chrome plating. And now you can gather up these pieces for the accessories. As you can see, much of that is flat black. There's a couple of chrome pieces and some black colored parts there as well. And we'll be adding those. You can take a look at the back too if you need to refer to the instructions for detailed and close-up application information. We'll work on the chassis next, and the main chassis and the airbags in the rear, the control yoke are all painted semi-gloss black. Now in the front bags, they're going to be painted gunmetal before they're installed onto the chassis. Now it's time to go ahead and paint the exhaust pipes steel, and the mufflers and resonators will be aluminum. Let that dry. Now the front stabilizer bar was painted a metallizer and attached to the front axle, and then the whole front axle assembly gets installed onto the chassis up front there, and the differential in the back is secured to the rear axle assembly, and then that whole subassembly is glued to the chassis. Now the shock absorbers get painted flat black, and after they're dry, the left and upper A-arm and the right and the steering gearbox, they're painted semi-gloss black. And after they've been dried, we're going to have the rear shocks installed into the chassis and the rear axle assembly. And then the upper A-arms are also glued into place. And here's a good look at how the parts go into place there. And as you can see, it's a fairly detailed chassis. Now we can put the front shocks into place in the front end there in their locations. And once again, take a look at the instructions if you need, wire diagram type of appearance to get those in place. Now you can add the drive shaft and the radiator hose along with the motor to be mounted. So go ahead and paint that drive shaft gunmetal. The hose is a flat black. And then scrape the glue off the motor mount areas for the motor. First, you're going to install the drive shaft into place in the back and the differential. Then go ahead and put the drive shaft into the back of the engine or transmission and glue and move it on down and glue the motor into place. Make sure that you get it firmly seated so that it's nice and in the proper position. Now get those tires and wheels ready, and we're going to spray the white wall inserts with a gloss white paint, let those dry. And then the inner wheels get painted a semi-gloss black. Now the white wall inserts are installed into the tires, and the 4 outer wheels are installed onto the outside portion, and the inner wheels are then sandwiched on the inside half and glued to the outer wheels. When the wheel sets are dried, you can go ahead and install those onto the spindle hubs and put your finger behind the hubs and then snap the wheel into position. If you want them to roll, you can just snap them in, or you could glue them in if you don't want your model to roll off. The interior has some separate door panels, so it's really nice to detail those. Most of the car here interior is going to be painted in aqua color. The seats and etc., they're painted satin finish, and you can see there's some black carpeting on the bottom, also at the base of the door panels. The details, the highlights there are detailed with some chrome pen paint. You've got some black pedals, and some other pieces we'll be adding a little later. The door panels will fit right into place, but scrape off any paint before you glue them into position. There's also a nice touch here with some courtesy lights that are in the door panels. So apply some white glue or crystal clear glue and install those, and then put the door panels into position. Next, we can go ahead and get these parts out of the kit. And we're going to detail the steering column, stalks there with some chrome and some semi-gloss black, like the steering wheel. And we're also going to assemble the dashboard. You can see this goes together nicely. It's got a nice decal there for the IP and a little gold on the marquee there, along with some flat black and chrome appointments. The front seat consists of fronts and backs, and so you'll glue those together and install those along with the rear seat into the interior, and then finally put the dashboard into position in the notches in the front of the interior bucket. Now it's time to clean up the body, and as I said, it's really nice. There's minimal parting lines. You'll find those on the tops of the fenders and over the drip rail, and then down the front of the fenders on those each end, of course. And we're going to give it a light scuffing here just to make sure that it's got a little bite for our primer, and then we'll start painting our two-tone. I elected to paint the body a kind of an aqua or turquoise tone, kind of like they were in the 50s. And I masked that off and painted the rooftop a white so that we'd get that two-tone coloration. Now it's time to hand paint the inner fenders with some satin black, along with the rooftop. And next we're going to, once that's dried, install the windows with some clear glue. And we've also got the rear view mirror to put into place. And as you can see here, it's got a really nice looking contrast to it. Makes for a good color scheme overall. Now locate the mounting points where the interior touches up against the body and glue that into place with some good strong glue. And you can also do the detailing of the chrome trim. And it's kind of like a lawn that's only 6 feet wide but a half mile deep. You know, it just takes a long time to do it. But be careful and use some bare metal foil, or you can paint these if you want to tape off the trim. Now we'll be adding some engine bay accessories. The heater blower, that gets painted semi-gloss black, and the master cylinder is painted flat black. Then we're going to add the heater blower to the master cylinder area, attachment there, and we're going to install the whole thing onto the firewall of the body. Then the wiper motor and the front cowling are installed as well. Now we'll move on to the radiator support. That gets painted semi-gloss black, and the fan shroud is flat black. Then the shroud gets attached to the radiator support. Once that's dry, you can add the assembly onto the body on the places provided for it. The whole model has great positive gluing points, so everything goes together where it should go. And now here's where it gets a little bit tricky. The fan on the motor slips into the shroud, the fan shroud, before you get it nestled up into the body. So you're going to install the chassis to the body now, but make sure that you don't break off that fan when you are pushing this into position. So here the condenser gets painted flat black, and the radiator is painted semi-gloss black, and then the condenser gets glued to the radiator and it's attached to the support and the lower radiator hose. Well, we'll continue on with more of the engine bay parts, and as you'd expect, even though there's a huge amount of real estate there, it is completely filled up with things. So go ahead and paint these units. You see the battery there. Most of them are semi-gloss black. The battery tabs there are yellow. And then go ahead and install those into the engine bay in their proper locations. We continue on with the underhood items, and you can see the air conditioner hose assembly there. It's painted flat black with a little bit of gunmetal detailing before it gets installed on the right fender well. The parts bin keeps on rolling under the hood here, so we're going to add the washer bottle top to the washer bottle, and then decal 17 is applied to that. Now it's installed in the left fender with some clear part cement, and the cruise control top gets glued to the bottom, and that unit is attached to the left rocker cover. The air tank then is attached to the firewall. So now the two halves of the air cleaner get painted gold, and decal 16 is applied to the bottom. And the distributor then is painted semi-gloss black. So now our Caddy is packed with plenty of power and creature comforts. If we add the air cleaner assembly and distributor into place, the engine assembly is finally finished. Now it's time to put the massive chrome piece into the front end called the grille. And it looks best if you use a little clear part cement for the headlight lenses to put into their nacelles there, and black out the recesses in that grille for a more accurate look. And you can add your license plate tag to the front there in the license plate holder. Now we can move around to the back end, and we're going to install the backup lenses into the reflector, and then that's secured into the backup light cover with some clear part cement. The backup light assembly is attached to the body with some clear part cement and the rear bumper, left tail light molding and the right one, the left fender outer spear and the left fender inner spear. The right rear fender spear and the right rear inner spear are then attached to the body. The license plate is glued to the rear bumper, and the detail is on the tail lights, and that's painted Testors aluminum. And so we're going to add the tail lights to the left and right tail light moldings with some clear part cement and install those at this time. And now we're going to add the hood, and that front of the hood, the whole thing is of course sprayed body color, and then the bottom is detailed with some flat black. Now the front of the hood is attached to the hood, And not picture here, you won't see are the hood hinges, which you can use, for posing the hood, or you can just set the hood into place if you like. Now, at this time, you can add that to your body, and you're getting a pretty much a picture of your complete and finished model. But wait, there's more. The right and left windshield wipers, the door handles, the side mirror support are now attached to the body assembly in their locations. And the side mirror is attached to the side mirror support. And then decals 8, 21, and 21 are attached to the body to finish up. There will be some pieces left from your kit that aren't going to be used, and these are for different versions of the model. There's also some decals that I didn't use, and there's some, as you see, kind of a silvery spears here that can be used for the side trim, but as you know, I elected to use foil, and you can paint those with some chrome paint as well. Well, there you have it. Your model is done, and at this point you've got something that you can really proudly display on your shelf, and it exemplifies an era that's long gone in Detroit's history, but it is probably the pinnacle of automotive design for the jet age styling, and I don't think you're going to have an easy time finding a car this beautiful with such an absolutely magnificent and smooth ride to get you down the road. So, if I were you, I'd buy one and put it on my shelf.
Thanks for joining us at Right On Replicas, where we're proud to bring you the best scale model kit reviews on the planet.
This review is brought to you in part by Ryder's Hobby Shops, where the fun begins. Stop in to one of Ryder's 2 convenient Michigan locations where you'll find a full range of the latest hobby products, supplies, parts, tools, and paint. You'll find aisles and aisles of scale model kits, RC models, model rockets, Warhammer gaming, and railroading products. Stop in at Ryder's today and tell them Doug sent you.